A vigil to honor the life of George Floyd was held at the First Baptist Church in East Elmhurst, Queens. Residents, clergy, and elected officials got a chance to reflect on Mr. Floyd's life and put a spotlight on police brutality.
He was a person of faith, and he was a tall timber man of stature, but he was humble in attitude and heart.
Today we're having a vigil to honor George Floyd, who was murdered in Minneapolis.
I think more than anything else, our community really needs healing right now. We've of course lost so many of our own loved ones to COVID-19, but also now with the death of George Floyd.
What we saw on that video of George Floyd, it's sickening, it's heart-wrenching to watch. No one should have the fear of driving while being black. No one should have the fear of walking down the street and being targeted by the police.
While this was a peaceful vigil for George Floyd, conversation soon began to turn to 50A, a law here in New York State which shields police misconduct records from the public.
Unlike any other state, New York has a law that protects the personnel records of police officers here in New York. So as a public servant, you're entitled to see my personnel records and that of any other public servant. The police should be no different, especially when we know that there could have been prior incidents in which this police officer might have acted inappropriately.
We as a community are the ones that will bring that healing process and that voice to make sure that the masses know that it's time for some real change in the police department. And I think that this gives people that opportunity to come into their local church right across the street from where they live, in their neighborhood, and take a moment for some reflection and prayer for peace.
And I believe that this is the time that we're going to see the rise, as all we're seeing now, the rise of our young people on the streets fighting, crying for hope, crying for justice.
You know, Martin said that we'll get over the mountain, but here we are climbing that mountain still. And I don't begrudge that climb. I welcome the climb. And I welcome the energy of another generation to decide that they won't sit back idly, that they're going to push for the kinds of changes that this country needs and that our common humanity demands. And there was a ceremony at Elmhurst Hospital